Interested in using Vitex for fertility? Today I'm going to cover exactly how to best use Vitex and answer a lot of the common questions we get. For the best natural fertility tips, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. So we're gonna first start with the different types of Vitex that there are. There's one type of Vitex plant, but it comes in many forms for you to take it. So the first form is a loose form where you can take the hard berries and make it into tea. I generally actually don't like this form because one, the taste of Vitex isn't very pleasant, and two, it can be hard to do consistently. And you'll find out, which we'll cover in a minute, Vitex needs to be used on a consistent basis for the best results. So if it's in a blended tea, such as fertility tea, conceptions tea, then that's fine because there's generally herbs in there that will make it taste better, but tea is not my favorite way to use Vitex. One of my favorite ways is through tincture, where the compounds of Vitex have been extracted through alcohol. A lot of the compounds within Vitex aren't water soluble, so that's one of the reasons I like a tincture or an extract, and that is drops that you would take in water or juice and you would take it that way. Another way to take Vitex is in capsules. I personally think this is the easiest way because you're not having the alcohol taste to think about, and you can also travel with this very easily. A whole herb Vitex, in my opinion, is the best compared to a standardized Vitex that's found in a capsule where they'll take one major compound and they will amplify it. I think that's, I like to use the whole herb because there's a lot of compounds that are needed in the whole Vitex and how it was designed for the best results. So those are some ways that Vitex can be used. Now, for dosage, our Vitex, fertility Vitex, suggested use is 1,000 milligrams per day. So the capsules, that's easy, that's 2 capsules equals 1,000 milligrams. Or if you're using the extract, 60 to 90 drops per day is equivalency of 1,000 milligrams. So a full dropper is about 30 drops when you're using an extract, give or take. So you don't have to count them out every single time you're using it. You could just do 2 squirts for 60 drops or 3 squirts for 90 drops of that whole dropper full. So that's the suggested usage for the amount. Now, we get a ton of questions about the best way to take Vitex. What time of day do I take it? So there's a couple different things. Here's the ideal and then here's the reality. The ideal is for you to take one full dose in the morning on an empty stomach. So you would take the full 1,000 milligrams first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. I think that's the easiest way to do it, but it's also nice for absorption because you have nothing else in your stomach. But for some people, that may not work out for them. So if you are gonna be more consistent and compliant by putting that into 2 different dosages, taking it with food, that's fine, that's totally fine. But optimal use would be first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Can you take Vitex with other herbs, supplements, or medications? When it comes to Vitex, you can generally take it with almost any other herb. It works great in blends, especially blends that are supportive of the reproductive system. It works great with maca, and it can be used with any other supplement, such as a prenatal vitamin, vitamin B, vitamin C. Any of those supplements are perfectly fine in using Vitex. Now, when it comes to medications, that's where we need to be cautious and careful. Vitex has an effect on the hormonal system of the body. So if you're someone who's going through medical fertility treatments, you're on a medicated IUI or IVF cycle, don't mix those with herbs that have effect on the hormonal system. Talk with your doctor about this, but your cycle is being medically controlled, which is fine. That's the protocol that you're following, so follow that. You don't want to use an herb that may have an effect on the hormonal system while you're being monitored, while you're being medicated for your cycle to go a certain way. So just don't risk it, okay? So generally any herb that is having an effect on the hormonal system, we do not suggest to be used during any type of medical fertility treatment or using Clomid. Now, there's a couple of situations where Vitex may not work. One of those situations is if you're experiencing nutritional deficiencies. If you're anemic, if you've been eating a diet that's very low in nutrients, that's low in healthy fats, that can actually be a reason that Vitex is not going to work. Vitex helps to support the endocrine system and through that normal, healthy hormonal production. If you don't have the compounds such as iron, such as healthy fats to produce hormones, it's not going to have its full effect. So you definitely want to make sure that you're eating a natural fertility diet, that you've got the diet part under control. And this makes such a big difference no matter what your fertility issue, what your fertility journey looks like. Eating a healthy fertility diet makes a big difference. You can learn more about that through the link here, and I'll put one below as well. Also, if you're someone who's experiencing PCOS, that's another instance where diet needs to be dialed in on a daily basis in order to help manage that PCOS, and then Vitex is something that's wonderful to add in, but you have to be managing that insulin resistance in order for the rest of your cycle to function and to be working. Vitex can't force anything. That's one of the wonderful things about herbs, is they're very supportive and they help to support a healthy system. But in the case of nutritional deficiencies or with PCOS, diet has to be dialed in. If you're wondering how to eat for PCOS and how to support the body when you're trying to get pregnant despite PCOS, go ahead and watch my video series on that. You can see it there, and you can also access it through the link below. Now, how long do you need to take Vitex in order to get results? When you're using herbs that have an effect on the hormonal system and the endocrine system, it takes time. We say at least 3 months. You have to understand that during the monthly cycle, there's all kinds of events that are constantly happening. And one of those events is maybe the results you're looking for. Maybe it's ovulation or longer luteal phase or whatever it is. It's going to take a couple of months for all of those hormones and the whole orchestra to fall into place. So some people do see results right away. They see different shifts and changes, but to get actual true lasting results, give it at least 3 months. And Vitex will need to be taken on a daily basis long term. That's how you get the best results from Vitex. Now, we get a couple questions about changes and things that people experience while they're taking Vitex. You may be wondering, what should I be looking for? What's it going to feel like? So some people don't feel anything. After 3 months, they start seeing the changes that they were hoping for. Other people might experience changes in their cycle, the length of their cycle. They might experience some spotting. There's a couple different reasons for it. When Vitex is taken and it's in the body, it is actually stimulating both the estrogen and the progesterone receptor sites. So what this can cause is this can sometimes cause spotting, or it can cause the cycle to become a little bit different than it was before, a little bit more irregular. This is very normal when you're using hormonally supportive herbs, or herbs that have an effect on the endocrine system, the reproductive system, the hormonal system. This is very normal. This can happen with a lot of other herbs as well. So just know that that's normal. It's part of what's happening. But, another question that we get asked is, I have a regular cycle, will Vitex mess up my cycle? Something to note, just because you have a regular cycle, say your cycle is a perfect 28 days, doesn't mean that there's certain things within your cycle that may not be improved by Vitex. If you're experiencing luteal phase defect, you're not ovulating, low progesterone, so on, again, watch that other video. We go into great detail about that. Vitex can still be used. Just because your period is on perfect day 12 and your cycle's 28 days doesn't mean everything else is okay. Doesn't mean those things are wrong either. But I'm just saying a cycle length is not a determining factor of everything else that's happening during your monthly cycle. So there you go. There are top questions about Vitex. Please comment below if you have used Vitex before and share your experience with others. Also, if you have any questions I did not cover in this video, ask them below and we'll be sure to get right back to you. Now that you know more about how to best use Vitex when trying to conceive and what to expect from using it, know that there are some other factors that you need to know when you're trying to get pregnant and to get the best results. That's why I have the Fertility Foundations course, which is completely free, and you can go ahead and access it in the link below. Also, if you enjoy these educational how-to fertility videos, you should join us over at our private community where my team of fertility practitioners educates on all topics of natural fertility. You can access it through a 7-day free trial through the link below. And if you like this video, please let me know by liking below and also typing helpful in the comments if you didn't have a question or have had previous experience with Vitex. All right, thank you guys. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.